Hey everybody, I'm Oliver Joyce from Whiskey Barrel Studios. How you doing? Welcome to another one of those hiking videos that I do every now and again. I've been hiking for maybe 2 hours and I want to apologize for the audio quality because it's a windy day. It's a dreary day. It's one of those days that you're probably better off staying in bed, to be honest, because it's cloudy, the wind is sort of biting. I just don't have it today. I feel like just my legs are heavy and mentally I'm a little fatigued as well. And usually these things, these hikes, renew my spirit, my vigor, but today it just hasn't. And I guess that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today is endurance and perseverance in terms of game development, because that's all I really know enough to give advice on. Maybe this might translate to whatever it is you're doing in your own life. But I was up last night watching TV, and Amazon Prime is a channel that I've never had before, but we ordered something on Amazon and we got a month's free Amazon Prime. So checking through it. And you know what? I saw all these programs, all these cartoons, all these kids shows, all these movies, all these TV series that I'd never heard of. And I thought, man, who knows about these things? How many people have watched these things? Obviously someone, because they're on Amazon Prime. And for every one of those, how many didn't make it? And it was kind of overwhelming in terms of, I just got thinking about the amount of content there is out there in this modern era of entertainment. In some ways, it's never been better, but in other ways, it's kind of, it's overwhelming. And so, you know what, choice paralysis. In terms of how that relates to game development, it got me thinking about being a game developer in 2020 and what that means. It's scary, I think the amount of new games coming to Steam every day is, in the hundreds, I would estimate. Certainly in the mobile market it is. And the amount of those games that will succeed, maybe one or two a day, maybe, and the rest of them will fall between making some money and making no money. A scary stat that I read last night while going down a Reddit rabbit hole was that the average game on Steam, and as the wind picks up to make things more dramatic, the average game on Steam, the median game, makes about $1,500 over 5 years. And that's unsustainable. That might pay your Christmas presents for the year, but if depending on how long it took you to make the game, that's disastrous, and it's not a viable business for most people. And if you want to be a game developer for fun, maybe that doesn't matter. But if you're trying to be a professional game developer, that's kind of scary, and that can be really disheartening. And here's where the endurance part comes in. You often see these failures and you see people walk away and go, you know what, I didn't make it as a game developer. But there are two ways to be successful. And the first way is to have the mega hit, the Stardew Valley or the Crossy Roads or whatever it is, kind of game that gets out there and just takes the world by storm and makes you a millionaire overnight. The other way is what I like to call, well actually I don't even like to call it, this is something I read, it's the spiderweb software kind of way, and also I guess to a lesser extent the Whiskey Barrel Studios way. Spiderweb Software is a company by a guy called Jeff Vogel, and he has a bunch of role-playing games he's been making over 20 or more years, and none of them have ever been huge hits, but he's just kept making them and kept making them and kept making them, and he's been able to make a sustainable business out of it just by the sheer number of games he has out there and the core audience he's been able to retain and just cater to this niche market. And I guess my own games are a little bit like that. What I'm trying to say is that if you can't have a hit with one game, perhaps having 10 or 20 games out there over enough time can make a sustainable business for you. The reason I bring this up is because it's kind of at the forefront of my mind right now. I'm really trying to make Whiskey Barrel Studios a full-time thing. I've gotten close on a few occasions in the past. This is as close as I've ever been in terms of financially and where I'm in my life. I've got a family now, and that makes it difficult. Mortgage, wife and child, and so on. And you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. You're thinking about them, and you want to give them the best life you can. And so the obvious choice is to just have a salary, right? To just think, I'm just going to keep my day job, and that will provide, and then in any spare time, I'll do the game dev as a hobby. And for most people, that is how game dev gets done over weeks, months, years. And sometimes, that for most people is enough. And that also takes out the financial stress of trying to make a hit game. How I've been doing it is since 2013, when I first founded Whiskey Barrel Studios and left the old company, I've been trying to make this a full-time thing, and I've had to take contracting work. I've been working part-time for the last, 4 years. Coming up 4 years for an educational company, just building little JavaScript games and apps. Not what I dreamt of, but a nice company and it pays the bills. But my dream was always to be a full-time game developer and be a properly independent game dev. I feel like I'm close to realizing that if things continue the way they are, then I think by next year I will be there. But I guess that's not really the whole point of this video. The point of the video is I've had to endure failure to get to this point, and still there's failure. Spartacus, Sword and Sandal Spartacus. Some of you who know me and followed the videos will know about Sword and Sandal Spartacus. This game I started development on in sort of January, February last year, and it wasn't finished until about November, so it took me the best part of a year to make. And I did a couple of things badly in terms of I released this game during the Steam winter sale because the game was finished and I wanted to get it out there, and I had this weird sort of like, I'm going to zag when everyone else zigs, or is it zig when they zag, whatever it is. But I thought, you know what, there's going to be so many more people out there on the stores in the winter sale, so they'll see the game and they're going to, the law of averages suggests more players, more sales. The reality was that was a bad time to do it, and I read that was a bad time, but I thought I knew better. And I didn't get that visibility that your game often gets because the winter sale was on the front page of Steam. And so my game did not sell, and that was crushing. It sells now to a certain point as part of the bigger Sword and Sandals kind of decalogue, the anthology style packages that I do, where I sell all the Sword and Sandals games together. Spartacus is included in that, and those games sell pretty well because they're more popular Sword and Sandals. So people are buying Spartacus, but not because of Spartacus. And there's never been much buzz around it. There has been a few reviews, but not many. And the game has made some money, but not enough to justify its existence yet. And that, it's disheartening. For most or many developers, that might be enough to walk away. And if I had never made another game, perhaps I would. But I think I know better in terms of I know success and I know failure. I know the Sword and Sandals Classics, I've been successful. I know Sword and Sandals 2 Redux was very successful. I know Sword and Sandals Pirates was not successful. Spartacus was not successful. To be honest, to be completely honest, sometimes I feel like I've lost my mojo, for game dev. Because if you look at the last few games I've made, Sword and Sandals Pirates, Sword and Sandals Spartacus, I guess, yeah, that's the only two. I'm trying to think of anything else. Medieval and so on, they were earlier. Those two games have not sold. They haven't sold in the kind of numbers that you hope, considering how long those games took to make. And they haven't recouped the time investment for me or my business partner. But I've learned from them, and if you can weather those storms and endure the sort of financial stress that kind of causes you when you're not really getting income from them, then over the long time, those games hopefully will sell because they have a long tail. And the lessons that you'll learn from them and what not to do are also invaluable. Hey, the sun's just come out for a little bit, and that it's kind of a nice segue because there is hope at the end of all this. Not to sound too dramatic, it's just game dev. It's just it's on the game development, but it's something I think about a lot and I talk about a lot with my very good friend John Stacecow from Lost Relic Games, who's also had to endure a very long game development cycle and has had to sort of make ends meet through other digital means, making game tutorials and YouTube channels and so on. I feel fortunate to be able to at least have some success and enough success to cover the losses. And Sword and Sandals Crusader Redux is a game that I've been working on since January, and I'd planned to have that done in April, but then this damn pandemic comes along and threw a spanner in the works and made it so I've only been working on it half the time, and my little boy is home from daycare, and I look after him a lot of the time, which is I love doing. He's he and my wife are the light of my life, and I don't begrudge that. But it's also slowed down the game development. But it got me thinking: it doesn't really matter if the game is out in April or it's out in August, because that's not going to make or break you. Certainly for me, anyway. So I've just come to terms with the game is done when it's done. You endure a long development cycle. You endure the sort of like the worry of like, are people going to like this? Will this live up to my old stuff? Is this financially viable? I think about it all the time because I want to go full time next year, and I think, right now it's sustainable. Will it be sustainable in a few years? And if not, what do? But you know what? There's always other ways to make money. How many times in your life can you really chase your dream? If you're a writer or a musician or an artist, you don't often get that chance to really follow your dreams and make a go of it. And I think now's the time to roll the dice. I'm not getting any younger. I should have done this in my 20s when I was single. I didn't have the courage or the wisdom, and I had the fear of failure back then. I don't fear failure anymore because I trust myself and I believe in myself and I know what I can do. And I also believe in you guys and girls. Not to sound all syrupy and saccharine, but the fans of Sword and Sandals give me a lot of energy and hope. And every day or two I get lovely messages from people just saying, hey, the Sword and Sandals games were my childhood. Thanks for the memories and good luck with the future stuff. And those little bits, those little emails are just like little shots of energy that boost your confidence and your morale, and say, hey, there is a reason I'm doing this. Sword and Sandals Crusader Redux. It's a remake of an old Crusader game, which was actually really popular back in the day. And that in itself was almost a tribute to a game that I love called Defender of the Crown. And I was a little bit sort of slavish to Defender of the Crown in terms of how much I reproduced of that. And so in the Crusader Redux, I've kind of gone and put a whole bunch of extra stuff that I should have put in the first place to make the game more strategic and more fun, I think. So I'm really looking forward to everybody playing that. But to be honest, I'm making Crusader Redux. It's a financial decision. I know that that's a popular name, and it's something that I need to do to give me the financial barrier to be able to go out and make, the next game that I want to make. You can't always be going off and making sort of spin-off titles and things like Spartacus and so on. That's Crusader Redux. But I think it's still a labor of love, and I'm still enjoying it. It has been a bit of a strain, I'm telling you now. There is some old spaghetti code that I've been sifting through from Pirates and the old Crusader and so on that I've had to sort of redo. And, all of Crusader Redux is done with a new game engine and so on. So you're not going to get any old Crusader bugs, but there is, it gets messy. And working on it late at night instead of during the day, it also makes for a more challenging development time. But, again, you endure and you persevere, and then you get a game out there. This game's going to come out in probably August now. That's the latest estimate. And I hope you all like it. And if you don't, hey, I'll make you another game, and maybe you'll like that. The big granddaddy of them all is going to be Swords and Sandals 6, and I've been talking about it for so long, and I still haven't started on it. I've done some sort of Google Docs in my head about Arena Champions, and I've got a vague story in my head, but there's not a single line of code's been written. And I'm still umming and ahhing on the best sort of, is it 2D, is it 3D? What game engine do I want to use? Do I even love Unity anymore? Do I want to use Godot? Who knows? These are topics for another video, but I don't know. I just wanted to sort of talk to you about, what's going on in my head. I still love doing the game development. I still love doing Swords and Sandals. I worry that might be the only sort of game that I ever make that makes any money. If I make another game that's not called Swords and Sandals, it might just disappear into the other. But you know what? Here's something I wanted to talk to you about. Last night I watched a documentary called Life After Flash. And no, it's not about life after Adobe Flash. Thanks, Steve Jobs, for nothing. I was a Flash developer for a long time. I still actually work in Flash. This is about Flash Gordon, which was one of the original comic book heroes from the 30s. And more importantly, about the 1980s movie, the 1980 movie of the same name, directed by Mike Booth, I think, and produced by Dino De Laurentiis, and starring Sam J. Jones. The reason I bring this up was because that was a childhood movie of mine. I loved that as much as Star Wars, and I watched it religiously. And my dad, he got me hooked on it because he loved Flash Gordon as a kid, and I'd seen that movie so many times, and it got me into the music of Queen, who are of course my favorite band, and influenced the music of Swords and Sandals and everything. There's a lot of Flash Gordon in what I do, but this is a sidetrack, but getting back to what I wanted to talk about. Sam J. Jones, who was the star of Flash Gordon, had a falling out with his producer, and in the end, they cut him from the film. He was the main star, and they dubbed over his voice, and didn't find out until after he still saw it in the cinema, and that was devastating for him. And he carried that with him for a long time, and sunk into quite a depression, alcohol and womanizing and so on, and just he struggled for a long time. And the parallels with me, Swords and Sandals was a big hit for the old company, and when I had a falling out with the boss at the old company, it ended badly for me, and it took me some time to get over that. That's not the parallel I really wanted to talk about here, but that's another aside. What I really wanted to say about Sam Jones and myself was Sam J. Jones will always be known as Flash Gordon. He's never really done anything else. Actually, you know what? He's a security contractor getting people safely in and around Mexico. Former Marine. He's a real life Flash Gordon in many ways. But he has embraced, it took him a while, but he's embraced being Flash Gordon. And he knows when the fans come up to him and say, "Hey, I loved Flash Gordon. Thank you for saving every one of us." He goes, "You're welcome." They sort of took the piss out of that in the movie Ted. But he genuinely loves his fans, and he appreciates that he was able to be Flash Gordon, be part of something really special. And not that Swords and Sandals is anyway on the cultural level that Flash Gordon was. However, if I'm never known for anything else, I'll be happy that people remember me for Swords and Sandals, and for creating something that was part of their childhood, and that endures. And that sort of wraps up what I want to talk about today, is that game development and any artistic pursuit, any creative pursuit, anything worth doing, for the most of us, doesn't happen overnight. It's and even if it does happen overnight, you can't rely on it forever. You have to keep working and keep building on things to make it a success. Hopefully you build something that endures without you. Otherwise you have to keep working at it to make it endure. Keep building sequels, building content, talking to the fans. If you're a musician, keep working on your craft, keep making albums, that kind of thing. So, perhaps you'll get there. For me, I'm fortunate. I hope the same for you. If you're a game developer just starting out, if your game fails, it's happened to me, it's happened to many others. You'll make another game. You will endure it. Especially if you're young, you have youth on your side. If you're older, don't quit your day job. That's, hopefully advice I don't have to live down. But even if you do, be brave, and perhaps you'll be successful. Finally, I just wanted to say to everybody, I hope you're all doing all right. This is a challenging time for many people, this pandemic. It seems like here in Australia, at least, we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel now in terms of people coming out of isolation. Hopefully the number of cases don't rise again dramatically. Hopefully people aren't too financially ruined by all of this. I hope you're okay and your family's all right. I've been able to weather the storm thanks to Sword and Sandals. And I hope 2021 is better for all of us. And I hope 2020 has made us appreciative of what we have and of each other. And anyway, much love. Thank you for being fans. And thanks for listening to this whole video if you're still here. The sun is out and it's probably a great time to get home and see the family. All right, everybody. Until next time, bye for now.